Okay, so this video is for Comics Explained. I know it's a little dark in here, so I'm sorry about that. Can't see my whole face. I've done videos before about certain subjects, comics, life, and the collapse of our society and how it's starting to collapse. And the reason why I brought this up was I was thinking about Infinity War and how the MCU wants to introduce the X-Men. And I thought this would be a perfect way to do it. Okay, so after the spoiler warning, by the way, guys, if you've not seen Infinity War, but after the events of Infinity War, humanity is distraught. There's barely any humans left. Population is on the collapse, and everyone is scared. And the heroes have to come up with an explanation of what happened, because they're gonna go to them and be like, "What the hell happened? You guys are like the protectors. We need to know what's going on." This is before Captain Marvel or anything. This is before that. We need to, because that's what the Avenger movies do. They focus on the humanity parts of everything. So Tony starts going back to his old roots. He starts trying to figure out what's going on, how all this happened, why. Well, it has something to do with him. After losing Spider-Man, it's not easy for him to cope with. So Tony's like, okay, I need to contact Cap. We need to get this whole feud over with. We need to bring the Avengers back because we've got to save these people from their hysteria. We got to tell them that there are heroes left, and we're gonna find out what really happened, even though we already know what happened. We're gonna create a lie and say no. We're going to say that a villain did this thing, and we're going to bring the humans back, not knowing that that would really damage things. Well, of course, Steve is not really sure if he wants to join tides with Iron Man, aka Tony Stark. But then he's like, we do need to come together, and this whole feud needs to go away. So they decide to eliminate the Accords. The Accords is done. We need heroes. Thunderbolt Ross is gone because when he snapped his fingers, Thunderbolt Ross died too. So the Accords doesn't exist anymore. It's done. It's gone with. And that means that Civil War should have never happened. The government sanctions a idea that heroes are what we need to save our society, because without them we can't stop threats like Thanos and things like that. Anyways, so we skip all this introduction and we come across a mutant, the first mutant, and that being Charles Xavier. And he's in this setting, and his mother and his father are arguing. He gets an orphan little boy because the MCU barely follows the comic books, so this is what happens. He gets this little boy. They adopt this little boy named Kane. Now everybody knows who Kane is, and once Kane is introduced to his family, there is a lab experiment of Professor Xavier's father, and Xavier's father dies in the explosion. Kane, having a dad of his own, is introduced to Xavier's mom. Now, I know this sounds like it's screwing it up, but this is how MCU usually works things out anyway. So just go with it. Anyways, introduces to the mom, and the mom falls in love with the guy, and they get together. Well, skip forward some years. The father and the mother are dead, because we really don't want to see an origin story. We just want to see, what transpired, these characters, who they are. People are just wondering, and they skip the years, so we still don't know who they are, which is a smart idea because it sets up a mystery. Who are these characters? Why are their parents? Now, if you're a comic book person, you know exactly who these people are, but because they change up the aspect, you're still in confusion of who this is. That's how Marvel works, and I love the beautiful formula they use. Yes, Homecoming was a disappointment to me, but I like the way it went. It did flush out a few things that were Spider-Man-esque, and then the rest of it was very creative. Anyways, So we fast forward, and there's a war going on. It's the Vietnamese War. They keep that part because it's pivotal. The two brothers fighting in this war, of course, are Charles Xavier and Kane, which is also Juggernaut. And no one knows this. Well, anyways, Kane and now they don't use his full name because they want a mystery. So everybody just, this is Kane. So then Spider-Man therapist, oh, it's Kane from the comic books. But then you start realizing it's not Kane from the comic books as Kane, the spider clone. This is Kane. This is Professor Xavier's brother, who will come on to be the Juggernaut. Well, anyways, skipping ahead of myself here. So they come across this cave. He grabs this element, and all of a sudden, the credits roll. You know that's going to be the Juggernaut. You know this is going to be Professor Xavier. And the title for this is Infinity War, Part 2, Rise of the Mutants. The reason why I say this, because it would be a perfect idea to incorporate mutants into the Infinity War. Now, a lot of people are, oh, that's bullshit. No, it won't work. It will work because of one thing. Incorporating the mutants will show humans. There are other humans out there, but there are humans we don't know about. Now, after the roll credits scene, we go back to the Avengers, and they're trying to come up with a way to bring humans back. Well, obviously, we got to get the gauntlet from Thanos. But how? There's no powerful beings. And then the Guardians of the Galaxy get a beacon call, and they have to go back. So they're gone. And the Avengers are still sitting there like thinking, how are we going to stop Thanos? How can we bring back everybody we've lost? Tony gets upset and says, this is all my fault. I should have never created Ultron. I shouldn't. And then Steve stops him and says, stop. Listen, Tony, you didn't know this was going to happen. None of us foreseen any of this. The only ones who knew were the Guardians of the Galaxy. And that's what creates enmity between the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's why you don't serve them together, because the Avengers don't trust the Guardians of the Galaxy. They don't know who these guys are, and they don't know about the cosmic universe. That is something completely beyond their knowledge. So they're like, we need to separate ourselves from them because we don't know what's going on. They could be our enemies in disguise. We've been fooled before by by S.H.I.E.L.D. that they were good people, and then come to find out they were working for Hydra the entire time. What if the Guardians of the Galaxy is working for Thanos and they're just not telling us that? And Stark's like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've been wrong before, but the reason why this is pivotal to the story because it brings Captain America and Iron Man back together as friends, but against a threat, and their threat they think is the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this is perfect because the Guardians of the Galaxy are not heroes; they're anti-heroes, which makes them so much more believable as tragic characters. Fast forward into this, and we go back to the mutant story. Xavier's in his chair, and he's sitting at the window, and he's thinking, there is a world out there that Thanos has taken away. But he hasn't taken away my world. And he turns around, there's all these kids in the room. But you start seeing these kids, some of them different color skin. Some of them are playing with their fingers or whatever, with some kind of genetic way or something. They're showing their mutant powers off. But one of the kids in there, two of them actually, maybe even three if they really want to go with that, but three of the kids have special powers: Iceman, Jean, and Cyclops. Well, actually, no, let's go with Beast, because Cyclops isn't until later. So, Beast. And they're all very scared because they have no idea what this mutant power is, and they've never dealt with it before. And Xavier tells them, it's okay, I can help you. This is what I created this for. I want to save mutants out there that are, struggling with their powers. And then all of a sudden, a news flash comes on. Thanos taking over the world. We've lost everything, humanity. We're reaching out to those humans that are left to come together. Well, this Xavier thinks this is his perfect opportunity to introduce mutants into the world. Well, he does. And at first, humans are accepting of mutants. Well, there's another humankind out there we've never known about. And scientists are intrigued by this because there are a few scientists left. Scott Lang, Iron Man, God, Ant-Man, is toying with the idea that Hank Pym knew about all this. He knows about alternate realities. He knows about everything Thanos, and he's stuck in this parallel universe where he can't get out. But then he sees something he's never seen before. He sees an opening, and he goes toward the opening, and the opening is an Infinity Stone. And Scott, somehow, some way, gets out of the Infinity Stone. And he's like, wait, where am I? He's on Titan. There's no one there. All the Avengers have gone. So it's just him. How do I get back to Earth? Well, obviously he's Ant-Man, so it's a quantum mechanics thing. So he has to go back through the quantum realm to back to Earth. But he doesn't know how to do that. So then it cuts away from that, and it goes back to the Avengers. And they're speaking amongst themselves. If there is the Guardians, what else is there out there that would support Thanos or even be a part of a world-reckoning thing? And this is where the mutants come into play. When Tony starts raising campaigns about, saving human race and being one with humanity and all this, all of a sudden the mutants start popping up, some of them being bad. This being incorporated by none other than Magneto, who wants to destroy the mutant populace. I mean, not mutant populace, I'm sorry, the human populace. And he wants to usher in the mutants. See, to him, mutants are a separate division that can control humanity and bend them to their will. And that's how Magneto thinks. He doesn't think as mutants as equal to man. He thinks they're over man. They are the next evolutionary step. In fact, if you watch the movies from the earlier ones in the Fox universe, yeah, that's what Magneto thinks of humans. They're just basically slaves to mutants. And that's what they're supposed to be. So anyways, Professor Xavier counters this idea, and he's like, no, this is not true. Mutants are good people. They're lost. They don't know their powers, especially the young ones. They have no idea. But the humans are confused. Here's one mutant who is completely against humans, and one that's not. So they decide, look, maybe they're both bullshitting, and we just need to be against both of them. And that's when they assign the Avengers to saying, look, I know the Accords are over, but we need you to work for the government. And at first, Tony's like, no way. I'm done with that. I'm not going to be a part of that anymore. I've lost some of my best people because of this. No, we will stand against it. And Steve Rogers is like, yeah, I agree with him. This is insane. Let's stand against this. So now the Avengers are like, yeah, no, we screw the government. So who do they contact? Well, Xavier, of course. And they're like, look, we couldn't get the Avengers on our side to do what we need them to do. So we need you to create a separate team to take out, certain mutant threats. Now, not kill them, but basically contain them so that we can know what the mutant threat is. And of course, Xavier's like, there is no mutant threat.